you'll see the Guildhall, where Charles and Camilla were married. The Guildhall was completed by Sir Christopher Wren, best known for designing St Paul's Cathedral in London. The 4 internal columns of the Guildhall do not touch the ceiling. This is because when the building was completed in 1689, the council insisted that the outer columns were not sufficient to support the building. So Wren added 4 internal columns, but in an act of defiance, he left them a few inches short of the ceiling to prove that his design was accurate. Our next stop is for the High Street and the parish church of St John the Baptist, which contains beautiful carvings by Greenling Gibbons, whose carvings can also be seen at St Paul's Cathedral in London. Shortly to the left, just as we make a right turn, is the blue post box next to one of the more familiar red post boxes. The blue post box commemorates the first airmail delivery in the UK from Hendon in North London to Windsor in 1911. The pilot, Gustav Hallon, landed in Windsor Cradle Park with a bundle of letters, one of which was for Windsor's Postmaster General. In the wall of one of the buildings to the right is a statue of Prince Albert, who's buried at the Royal Mausoleum in Windsor Great Park. Every year on December the 14th, the anniversary of Albert's death in 1861, Queen Victoria held a feast. Buildings such as the Royal Albert Hall and the Albert Memorial in London were opened and named in honour of Prince Albert. We're approaching our stop number 3 for the Victoria Barracks, home to some of the Queen's Guards. There are 5 sets of guards: Welsh, Scottish, Irish, Coldstream and Grenadier. The easiest way to distinguish between them is by the arrangement of the buttons on their uniform. Because this style became popular during the reigns of Prince George II and III. Shortly to the left, you'll see the beginning of the Great Park. Windsor Great Park was once part of the hunting grounds used by Saxon kings. Edward the Confessor, who died in 1066, the year of the Norman invasion, had a palace about 2 miles away from here. To the left is the Long Walk, a 3-mile avenue through laid out by Charles II, he came to the throne in 1660. Charles II spent most of his 20s in exile in France following the execution of his father Charles I in 1649. And Charles II was heavily influenced by the fashion in France for tree-lined avenues and wide-sweeping streets. This is our stop number 4 for the Long Walk. Through the trees of a cream building with a green roof made from Australian copper. This is Frogmore Mausoleum, the final resting place of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. The Long Walk, which you can see to the left, was laid out in 1660 and measures 3 miles. The castle is at one end, and an imposing copper statue of King George III on horseback is at the other end. In a few moments, the bus would slow down to give it the opportunity to see the King's landmarks, and the view of Windsor Castle to the left is quite spectacular.
Animals! Animals!
Look, Daddy, there.
The Copper Horse Memorial to King George III in the distance to the right was placed there at the request of his son, King George IV, despite the very public dislike they both felt for each other. King George III is closely associated with Windsor Castle, where he spent much of his time. St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. King George III's wife, Charlotte, gave birth to 15 children, after which the King is said to have remarked, "My quiver is full." Meanwhile,
Hangod nem lesz, mert
the Industrial Revolution, and the king became known as Farmer George for his interest in agricultural products. The king's
Erre nézzél.
occupation was the foundation of the British Empire in London, and he entered here towards the end of his life. King George III suffered outbreaks of mental instability, which we now know were linked to a kidney disease called porphyria. King George III spent the last decade of his life in seclusion between